and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terri Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Halecko. Say hi, Catherine.
Hi, Terri.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics, because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, we watched another episode of West Wing Season 5, and for our challenge round, we watched yet another USA series as I contributed to Catherine's education on the whole USA universe.
Sorry.
But first, we finished off our season of the One Season Wonder Trophy Wife with the last 3 episodes, There's No Guy in Team, Back to School, and Mother's Day. So, briefly, I guess, There's No Guy in Team, the main plot was that Kate encouraged Warren to find something to do at school because she was worried he didn't have any friends, and what he found to do was joining the girls' field hockey team, which she was afraid would make him even more of an outcast. But in the end, he's having a sleepover with like 12 girls.
Right.
And Back to School was Hillary going to a science camp where she found, much to her mortification, that she was not the smartest little girl in the world. And so she was having a bad day, and then Pete was trying to interest Warren in college and doing it by showing him the dining hall and the gift shop and the most pop culture-y class he could find. And meanwhile, in a just unimaginable move in terms of child endangerment, they left Meg and Tevin with Bert.
Right.
So, although Bert is pretty much the most mature one there, so
yes,
it worked out okay.
He held his own, definitely.
And then the third episode was Mother's Day, in which Jackie and Diane apparently magnanimously allowed Kate to spend Mother's Day with the kids, but in fact it's so they could go off to some hotel and have a spa weekend, and Kate catches on and confronts them. Meanwhile, Pete is having to represent, in the sitcom version of the Sam plot from the West Wing, where your law firm creates an environmental disaster, and Pete has to be the face of this, and he has what initially looks like a heart attack, but in fact is the result of having stress eaten for like 2 days.
Right.
So, first let's ask, the wedding episode that took place in a plane, we thought could have been a nice end for the series. Do you think the Mother's Day ending with them all in the same hotel suite, hitting each other with pillows and playing chess and doing all sorts of things together while Pete and Kate drank champagne on the balcony, was that a fitting end to the series as it turned out?
I guess so, but I think the wedding one was still better.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, the Mother's Day, I guess, throughout the series, Kate has been trying to, identify as a mom. And so
right.
We did get that for her by the end of this one. But, I don't know. That seemed a little sitcom-y, which
it did.
The thing that we enjoy about this show is that it twists a lot of sitcom tropes and does things in different ways. And this did not.
Which it continued to do in most of these episodes, but not really with that. I guess this would have been the sitcom thing, but I was really thinking it should end with Kate being pregnant. But
yes, I also thought the same thing. Or at least talking about it. I feel like that's something they would discuss, in their marriage.
Instead, they're talking about Pete quitting his job, so maybe that's just as well not to talk about the other thing, if that's a possibility. I would think he would be fired after the sort of debacle of his
his on-screen viral video, but it did sort of distract from his clients.
Well, that's true. I guess
dealings.
So this was, all in all, this was a very fun watch. I enjoyed revisiting this again, and I thought these last ones mostly lived up to the pattern of taking a twist partway through. I expected there to be disaster with Meg and Tevin taking care of the kids. And in fact, the kids finally just said,
right.
He's really immature. Could you just make him go do something else? And
and was that, I forget which one was the one where Bert had the credit card.
Oh, that was the first one. And that never resolved. I didn't think they actually resolved that.
Well, it's just that every time Pete tried to teach Bert a new lesson about, the value of money or how, not to rip off your friends because your dad says you need to pay, he would just come up with another way to, subvert the system.
Right, right. There never was any comeuppance at the end.
Yeah.
Bert's just going to go do something else.
Yeah, he's just going to keep on coming up with ways to swindle his young friends.
Smart boy. Clearly didn't get Jackie's DNA because she can't make money for any of her businesses to save her life.
No.
She needs to hire him as her business manager.
Yeah, she really does.
Well, of course she didn't have any Jackie's DNAs adopted, so.
Yeah, but he hasn't absorbed anything
He hasn't absorbed any of her loser ways.
Yeah, I think you're right. He should become her business advisor.
Yes,
but as we've seen, she's not really interested in actually making money from any of her schemes.
No, that's true. Oh, and which was the one? The thing about this show is it always has 3 plots in every episode. And which was the one where they went to Jackie and Kate went to Jackie's reunion?
That was the one where the big kids were at the college and Bert was with Meg and Tevin.
Okay. Yes, that's right. Okay. Gosh, so much. Any one of these could be a sitcom, could be an episode all on its own of a normal show.
Yes.
Yeah, that was all kinds of awkward.
Yes.
Oh, Jackie.
Yeah.
Jackie. And poor sad Steve. Bert worked him for information in the Mother's Day episode by pretending that he wanted him to be his daddy.
That was good. And I just enjoy how everyone continues to call him Sad Steve.
Yes.
Jackie calls him Sad Steve. Everyone calls him Sad Steve.
Imagine he even calls himself that.
Yeah.
Because he is.
So I enjoyed the show, and you know, I was glad to watch it. I'm kind of sad that there's no more left. So.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see where they went with another season. Maybe they told so many stories because they had so many in each episode.
They had so many people.
Yes.
I mean, yes. I definitely when the show started, I thought that Diane and Jackie would be minor characters.
Yeah.
And they definitely are not.
Nope. They serviced a lot of characters and all pretty well. I mean, there's no even Meg got in there quite a lot, and she was really kind of a side character, but there were a lot of plots that she was involved in. I thought it was funny when Pete was waking up for the heart attack, she was trying to make him think that she was his wife.
Right.
And then she couldn't even go through with it.
Creepy.
But she got a lot of cute stuff to do. So the kudos to the writers for being able to keep that many balls in the air and not really ever particularly drop anybody. So
yeah, and kind of it's an optimistic take on the blended family that Jackie, the stepmom, had saved Hillary's artwork,
Yes. That was so sweet. I loved that.
And just the relationship that the 3 wives have formed. That's definitely unexpected.
Yes, that was a whole nother plot somewhere. Hillary.
Right, Hillary
doing badly in her art class.
Trying to paint.
Wow. You have to write down all the subplots of these things to remember them. But, thank you, Trophy Wife. That was an enjoyable little watch. And sorry you didn't get another season to entertain us, but it's sort of a nice little package as it was.
Yeah, definitely.
And certainly a whole lot more fun than the episode of The West Wing we saw. Which is, if you follow what they say in the show, is named for a Korean word that means so sad you can't even cry. So it's like, it's a happy episode.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, we had CJ, like, really continuing to question what the heck is going on here. And then that whole plot with the speech about the vice president. This happened toward the end, but, you know, Will is writing down this horrible speech. And I was yelling at the screen, like, no, this is so dumb. Like, I know what's going to happen, and I really hate it, and I'm very annoyed that they would go that
Yes,
route.
as he even mentioned on the podcast, why was I typing that?
Yeah.
You know, you can riff on that stuff just fine. Why are you typing it into the script?
Right.
Except just for the contrivance. Although it did have the nice payoff of Bingo Bob being incredibly self-aware and a relatively good sport.
I found it to be slightly sinister. You know, I didn't fully believe that he was just like, oh my gosh, I think that's so funny. I think he was kind of being a little bit like, all right, guys, I know what you think, and I'm going to have my eye on you. You know, that's kind of the impression I got. I don't know.
It was maybe a little bit of both. Yeah. You know, that he's not gonna yell and be mad and get somebody fired. But at the same time, you know, haha.
Yeah.
You work for me now, sort of, tangentially.
Right.
At least for the moment.
I found it a little bit threatening, to be honest. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the question of, I agreed with what they said on the podcast, how it was nice that they allowed Ryan to, the intern, to do something that changed the one congressman's vote, but then they didn't have him taking credit for it.
Right. That was the first non-Weasley looking thing he's done.
Right.
So...
I mean, we don't know how Weasley, whatever he said to Theo was. But.
Well, that's true. But, yeah, that was a nice little moment. But now, of course, Josh is completely confused as to what made that happen.
Right.
But...
Or worse, he thinks that his browbeating method was...
Right. Yes.
Successful.
Well, yeah, that may be the case, judging from what lies ahead. But, we still have the Josh and Amy thing, which I agree. The little speech about we need to define it.
Yeah, how romantic. Possibly. We need a language plan. Like, wow, thanks, Josh.
Just call it a bagel.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But understanding CJ's difficulty also, because you can't really tell the press corps it's a bagel. So.
No. For them to publish in their... outlets. No, I don't think so.
Yes. So,
but it was also nice that that Donna basically figured out the same thing that the PhD, the Nobel Prize winner in economics said, and Josh did acknowledge that she had said the same thing he said.
Later on in the season, there's going to be something involving Donna's cats that this reminds me of, but.
Didn't know she had any cats.
Actually, I think it's Donna's mother's cats, but the similar situation of wisdom coming from unexpected places.
Is it coming directly from the cat?
You'll have to wait and see. You'll have to wait. Yes. Well, I a few times stopped this episode going, oh, I know where this is going, and I just, you know, that it's going to be sad, and that CJ is going to be frustrated, and that, you know, Josh is going to be unsuccessful initially. And I finally actually went on Wikipedia to read what the plot was so that I could watch the rest of it. It was one of those things where I didn't want to be wondering.
Yeah.
But that's a bad habit. But I have to admit that I did go onto YouTube and watch a few scenes from the shutdown episode just to cheer myself up. So...
Which is
it's coming. There's a few unpleasant episodes between now and then, but it's coming, and it'll be worth it, I promise. I promise it'll be worth it. The scenes made me very happy.
Well, that's good.
But, sad, especially with the capper that the negotiations went nowhere anyway.
Right.
So, but the whole thing that they were talking about on the West Wing Weekly podcast about not understanding what Bartlet meant by the guy didn't understand freedom, they had the woman on whose script that was based on, and she seemed to be saying that part of the story was pretty close to what she wrote. Why didn't they ask her?
Right.
Did they not think about it till later?
Right, very good question. Because it was really interesting to have her on. And
yeah, I mean, she might have just said, that line wasn't in mine. I have no idea what they meant. But she might have been able to shed a little bit of light on it. I thought that it meant that when he originally asked, he didn't understand. But then once he understood the consequences, he didn't do it.
Right.
But that didn't seem to be what they thought it was all about. So.
Yeah, I thought it was more like that, too.
Yeah, okay. Well, then maybe that's what it was.
Maybe we know better than Josh and Michelle.
So now, if somebody asked you, could you just off the top of your head say the price of a quart of milk? Or a gallon of milk?
No.
You go shopping, right? You shop in stores.
I do.
I don't. My family goes, but still.
I do, but I also get... Milk is one of the things I get delivered. I have an actual milkman, and I have like a crate where we put the glass bottles, and so I don't actually, so it's like a separate transaction that I don't think a lot about. So
yeah, I'll have to ask my family who goes to the store if they know. It seems like such a Price is Righty sort of question. It's just like, even if you do go spend your own money at the grocery store every week, you don't necessarily know the price of every individual item off the top of your head.
Right, especially when it's something that, to me, is just a necessity. Like, I'm going to buy it anyway. I'm not going to be comparing prices, and it's pretty much going to all be the same. It's not like your yogurt or something where the one brand is going to be a different price.
Right.
I feel like the gallon of milk is kind of...
It's pretty much just the gallon of milk you take it, you put it in your cart, you move on.
It costs because you're going to buy it.
I don't know if I've ever noticed the price when I put it in my cart. I enjoyed Charlie knowing exactly how much at different stores and how much with the coupon.
Right.
Apparently the guy likes milk. He likes his milk. He pays attention to his milk. He goes and he buys just the milk from time to time. So he is in the know, but...
it's almost more like I'm definitely more in tune to how much is a gallon of gas.
Yes, that would have been better.
So.
That I know people know because it's ridiculous usually. And that's something Bartlett wouldn't know because he's driven everywhere. So is Leo.
Right, and when you live in a big city and you take public transportation, you might not know. But in the rest of the country, it's a big deal. Yeah.
Yes, that would have been a better example. It just made me laugh.
Well, and wasn't there a thing with, I can't even remember, Reagan or...
No, I think it was Bush.
The first
but I don't remember
George
which. The first
Bush,
I think, yes.
I mean, I remember there was a thing where he was amazed by the scanner at the grocery store. Yeah. And maybe that also was the same incident with the price of milk or something.
Maybe so. But that's, at least of his generation, how many men went to the grocery store?
Right.
Even in non-elite families.
Right.
I could see that still being a thing, even for blue-collar people. But anyway, well, there wasn't much amusement in this episode, so it was good to have an occasional thing to smile about. And nice to see Will and Toby having a good time together, even if it was an extremely ill-advised parody speech.
Yes,
and
no
freaking way would it have gotten onto the teleprompter. No. Come on.
No. And I would have enjoyed the humor, how funny that speech was if I didn't, if I wasn't so annoyed that I knew that was going to happen.
If the sign hadn't been flashing as to what was going to happen with this thing, yes. Yeah. Why are you typing, Will?
Come
Stop
on.
It. There is no reason
at least open
all.
A new document, you dummy. Come on.
Really. We expect more. Yes. And Toby is trying to get himself a better job or a bigger voice. Which, say whether he gets that or not. Anyway, well, that was... I wasn't as excited about the episode as they were on the West Wing Weekly. They were really thrilled with it as being a great episode. I feel like I've seen that basic story arc before. Maybe not the specifics, but on this show of, this idealistic good thing that we're not going to be able to do because of, reality.
Right.
And,
that's for sure happened before.
Swivel in our chair. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, okay, well, or.
Yeah.
Not the top of my list, but, We interrupt this podcast to remind you to please consider the free Radio Public app for all your Parenting Roundabout listening needs. If you listen to our podcast on the app, we'll get paid a little for each listen and more if you listen a lot.
It's a great way to financially support our podcast without having to actually spend, money. Now on to our challenge round.
Well, to get away from the sad, sad piano music to something a good deal jollier and more colorful and full of people in bikinis.
Yes.
Let's move on to our challenge round, where we watched the pilot of Burn Notice, a USA series from, I was going to look up to see when it started, but
I think 2007 maybe?
Yeah, sounds about right. It was on for 7 seasons, and I believe I watched all of it, but it's been a while since I've watched it, and I had completely forgotten how the fun narration that goes all through it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really fun to rediscover. I remember that.
Right.
Love his sort of undercutting all these action scenes and stuff with spy notes.
Yes.
Or laments about his mother. I'm sure Sharon Gless got a much better haircut after this pilot.
Yeah.
She was pretty schmoopy looking in that.
That was bad, for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. It was really fun to watch, and I definitely... I wish it was somewhere streaming for free, because I would watch more, because it was just very... it goes down easy.
Yes, it definitely does. That is sort of a hallmark of USA shows.
Mm-hmm.
But this one particularly, it was just... It's fun to look at.
Yeah.
And the narration structure is so amusing and fun, and the way that he does things is always fun to figure out how he's going to do it. And very enjoyable. And it went on to be consistently that way.
Mm-hmm.
At least at the beginning. I mean, there was always this undercurrent of, I have to find out why I was burned.
Right.
But the basic structure of every episode was him, evening the score for some unfortunate against.
To make a few bucks to keep going so that he could continue his...
He and Sam and Fiona sort of formed a little outfit that would go and, through mostly con artistry and explosives and all their, homemade devices,
mm-hmm.
Sort of come to the defense of the little guy who is up against.
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed the Fiona, both of those characters, Fiona and Sam. Fiona as the ex-girlfriend, and Sam as the just kind of drunk schlub, but who still has a lot of connections, and he's kind of living the life.
Yeah, he is. That was a fun character. Well, all the characters in this were really fun. And his mom is there all the time, really? Sort of stealing his joy. So... it's fun. I was noticing how many times the cameras kind of ogled women in bikinis.
Oh my gosh.
Possibly 10 times too many.
Yeah.
All right, guys, come on. The action's over here.
We get it.
Yeah. We know you enjoy being in Miami, but come on.
Yeah, that was a lot. At
least show some guys, will you? Where are the naked, muscly guys on the beach?
Because we know they have those in South Beach. They do.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. There was a little too much with the bikinis, for a show that isn't Baywatch or whatever.
Exactly. But and he has that weird warehousey space where he lives,
mm-hmm.
and that sticks around. There's always yogurt in the fridge. Sort of the yogurt is a recurring motif.
Really?
He's a guy who likes yogurt. Yes.
All right. Well, good for him.
There's nothing else much in his fridge except yogurts. So.
Well, got to get those probiotics.
That's right. It's important.
When you're off fighting crime, ?
Yes. However precisely it is that you do.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was fun. So thank you for suggesting that, because I enjoyed it. Like Suits and Psych before it, right? Were those?
Yes.
And there was something else. I feel like there was another one.
Yes, White Collar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we still have to get to Royal Pains. So
we will.
A complete set. At least of the ones that I watched.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you have to challenge me with next week? So the movie The Martian, which I think I might have talked about briefly on this show on round 2, well, the time when I first watched it. Right. I believe you did.
And I think you were trying to read the book, but
never quite managed.
Never quite got to it. But the movie's a lot of fun, and it's just like a nice, I don't know. It gives you, it's fairly funny, but yet you get all the sort of process of like, okay, you know, Matt Damon is stranded on Mars. How's he going to make this work when it seems completely impossible? But how does he figure it out? And how does he come back from, you know, this terrible thing that's happened to him? And some of the setbacks that he experiences while he's there, etc. So,
cool.
So yeah, it's fun to watch, and we are going to watch that next time.
Yeah, my husband recorded it off one of the movie channels and is trying to get me to watch it with him, and I'm like, wait, we'll do it as a challenge, and then I'll have a reason to watch it. So, thank you for that.
Yes, I thank him too.
We also have another little programming change. Now that we're done with Trophy Wife, we need something else to watch. And it appears, as far as I can tell, that there is a new season of So You Think You Can Dance going on right now. I believe we have missed the auditions, which is just fine.
Right.
And we can come into it at a slightly later place. So we will, on next Monday, July 9th, watch an episode of that and have our commentary on it for you the very next day. So for next week, then, we will be watching So You Think You Can Dance, whatever episode is on then, and the West Wing episode, Constituency of One, and
The Martian. Yeah.
So, dancers, politicians, and people abandoned on Mars. That is going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so that you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terry.
Goodbye, everybody.